Here we have the 2-hour price chart for Meta Platforms Incorporated, stock ticker META. This is the parent company for Instagram and Facebook. Here we can see that the stock is posting a bit of a recovery today. This is a bit encouraging based on what we've seen recently. It's not really much of a bounce, but it's something, and it's a lot more than we have been seeing in recent trading sessions. So ultimately, what we have here is a posted low that comes in at 459.12. We have broken through this 460 level. Kind of the downside target that I was looking at was roughly 455, right around there. So what we're seeing here is a little bit of a bounce higher. But we're already starting to see some selling pressure here, and we should kind of point out where exactly this bounce has started to fail. In prior videos on this, I've been covering this, the demise of this stock for quite a while. Um, as we can see here, the stock has kind of rallied into this. Let's get an actual price high here. We've got price highs of 486.71. So, as we can see here, this comes roughly in line with the top of the price gap, which was formed during prior trading sessions. This price gap would have formed really during the July 16 trading session, and then we did see a move to the downside. So, what's really occurring here is, we are getting a bit of a recovery, but we're already starting to see some failures as this price gap is filled. Generally, when you see a price gap, you have to expect it to be filled because there are going to be orders on both sides of the market that were not tripped during that process. And especially with a company like Meta, there are going to be orders placed at essentially every level. Somebody's got an order somewhere, and all of this area is going to need to be addressed once we start to venture back into that territory. So, not totally surprising to be seeing this type of price movement. We are getting a bit of a turnaround here, but, we're coming into resistance, not only at the top of this price gap, but also a bit with this 20 period exponential moving average. That's this descending yellow line here. So, this might look encouraging. I wouldn't get too excited just yet. We still have a long way to go before we recover all of these losses. Um, and the price moves here have been extreme. There's no doubt about that. So, overall, this level that I've kind of been watching to the downside here really comes in at 450 roughly. So just below 455. We did get below 460. So we're close to that level. So, the real question here is whether or not this bounce is going to continue, or, if we will see prices kind of decline back into these lows, which were generated during the May 31st trading session. So there are still some major questions to be answered here. I don't want people to think that you're out of the woods here with this stock because that's not the case. There is a lot, there's a lot of upside that would need to be recovered in order to kind of, you know, uh, reestablish the stock and really recover these losses. And then in addition to that, you still have this mess of a moving average cluster that really does kind of make things uncertain here going forward. So we can just kind of drill into this a little bit and try to look at these lines a bit here, see exactly what's going on. So we can see, I was just talking about this yellow line here, which is the 20 period exponential moving average. We can also see this orange line, which is the 50 period EMA. It has already crossed over the purple line, which is the 100 period EMA. And it looks like we're on the verge of now crossing through this blue line, which is the 200 period EMA. So, negative crosses like this, obviously not a positive signal. And what this does mean is that the moving average cluster itself is going to continue to decline and create resistance levels at lower and lower levels. So that's a problem here in terms of the recovery. It doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it's going to mean that it's going to be more difficult for the stock to kind of break through this moving average region here. So, it doesn't help the situation is really all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's impossible, but, it makes things more difficult. So currently what we're looking at here, this gap has been filled. We are still seeing, trading volumes that are majority negative. We can zoom in here a little bit and we can see these trading volume bars uh, definitely outweigh and encompass, engulf the bullish trading activity that has gone on. So, there are still, bearish indicators here that need to be addressed. So if we're looking at a reason for this recent bounce here, one, we have to point to the price gap, which we just did, and then two, you've got this overbought. Oh, sorry, I do that all the time. This oversold indicator condition. Where the RSI really did fall to somewhat extreme levels here. I mean, we're looking at 16 in the relative strength index. This is a scale from 0 to 100. So, you're reaching, heavily overbought territory at this point. I did it again, heavily oversold territory at this point. And we have started to kind of roll over out of here. That is an encouraging signal. You've also got a moving average cross in the relative strength index, as you can see here. So, the purple line is the relative strength index, and then this yellow line is the moving average of the relative strength index. So, you've got a roll over here out of oversold territory, and then you also have an upward cross within the RSI itself. So, we're kind of coming into contact at this point with the broader trend momentum. I would say this would be an encouraging sign if we can break above this trend line here. We're on the verge of doing that, as you can see. So that would be a positive signal, and it would potentially signal a downside, or a completion point to the end of all to all this downside. It could suggest that those downside trends are over, that the underlying momentum that's kind of forcing these trends lower could be reaching a point of completion if we do see a significant break here in this trend line. So that would be an encouraging signal. In my view, we would really need to see a break above, let's call this 180, 4620. That would kind of get us out of this price gap zone. Then any further rallies or upside price moves from there would kind of be working on their own volition, and would be considered to be a bit more valid. Due to the fact that it can't be kind of blamed on filling this price gap that was seen previously. Still a bit of a mixed picture here. I really don't like the way this moving average cluster looks. It's already starting to provide some resistance. That's not a good sign. Um, could we be out of the woods here? Could this be a low? Sure, anything's possible. But the real level to watch now to the downside comes in at 459.12. And then if we do see a break below there, we would probably be looking at a break below 455. 455. So, overall, we're not talking about huge dollar values here, and overall, we are reaching the end of this decline relatively soon. The question is just whether or not this current rally here will hold, or whether or not these moving averages are going to provide enough resistance to send prices lower, and then to force another retest of that 455 level. So here's the current market analysis for Meta Platforms Incorporated, stock ticker META.